The case is not merely administrative failure, it's symptomatic of a system unravelling. The arrest of Brahim Khadr Sharif, the 24-year-old Algerian mistakenly freed from HMP Wandsworth, brings temporary relief but raises enduring questions about how much chaos could unfold in one of Britain's most high-profile prisons. Khadr Sharif, a convicted sex offender and trespasser with prior knife and assault charges, was released on the 29th of October. The police were not informed until 6 days later, by which time he'd vanished into London. His eventual capture today in Islington came not from a sophisticated intelligence operation, but from an alert from a member of the public who recognised him and phoned the police. Officers confirmed his identity using a mugshot held up beside his distinctive wonky nose. That, frankly, is as much a comment on human decency as it is an indictment of institutional breakdown. The public spotted him, Sky News filmed him, officers did their duty, but the prison service failed at the most basic level to know who was in custody and who was not. What makes this even worse is the pattern. Khadr Sharif was the second foreign offender to be wrongly released from Wandsworth in as many weeks. Before him, Haddouche Kebatu, a migrant sex offender from Epping, was freed from HMP Chelmsford in error. Another man, Billy Smith, a fraudster, walked out of Wandsworth on the 3rd of November and only handed himself in yesterday. A fourth man, believed to have been deported last week, has vanished into bureaucratic limbo. But there are at least 5 other prisoners nationwide still at large after mistaken releases in the last year. In total, 262 prisoners were freed in error in the year to March, more than double the previous year, including 90 violent or sexual offenders. This is not a blip, it's an epidemic of incompetence. David Lammy, now both Justice Secretary and Deputy Prime Minister, admits there's a mountain to climb, but his admission rings hollow when the public recall that he refused only days ago in Parliament to answer a direct question about how many prisoners had been wrongly released. His statement that we inherited a system in crisis may be true, but it's beginning to sound like a refrain rather than a plan. The fundamental issue here is structural. Britain's prison system is overcrowded, under-digitised and chronically dependent on paperwork. Many prisons still use paper-based release forms signed by hand, susceptible to human error. Confusion between similar names or failure to cross-check immigration holds Wandsworth, already notorious after the escape of terror suspect Daniel Khalif last year, now looks like an institution that cannot be trusted with even its most elementary function, keeping offenders behind bars. The political fallout will be fierce. Robert Jenrick, the Shadow Justice Secretary, calls it the chaos of Calamity Lammy. Chris Philp has gone further, saying this episode sums up the total collapse of law and order. Their language may be partisan, but the anger has a foundation. The prison system's failure is not only administrative but moral. The British public should not have to rely on sharp-eyed passers-by to do the work of the state. Equally disturbing is what this reveals about deportation policy. Khadr Sharif, an overstayer on a 2019 tourist visa, should have been deported long ago. Instead, he drifted between the courts, immigration centres and prisons until a clerical blunder set him loose again. He now faces further charges for burglary, assault and knife possession. Yet once he's sentenced, he will likely face another bureaucratic delay before deportation. The optics are dreadful. A foreign offender walking the streets, a Justice Secretary unable to give a straight answer, a prison system that appears to have lost its grip. There is madness, not method, in the way our prisons are run. And for all the rhetoric about gripping the problem, the truth is that the Ministry of Justice has allowed archaic systems to survive long past their utility. A modern nation cannot rely on handwritten records and paper discharge sheets. It needs biometric verification, digital release orders, and real-time police-prison data integration. None of that is revolutionary technology. It is standard practice in most advanced democracies. And the human side of this farce shouldn't be ignored. Officers on the ground are exhausted. Governors now ordered to personally sign off every release are stretched thin. And the prisoners themselves, whatever their crimes, are often caught in a system so disordered that even their custody is uncertain. So today's arrest is not an end, but a warning. One man has been caught, others remain missing, the wider system remains broken. A nation that cannot manage its prisons cannot credibly claim to manage justice. What began as a bureaucratic error has become a parable of institutional decay, and until that mountain is climbed, the public's faith in law and order will keep sliding down the slope.